is an uphill task because it requires 2/3 members of this House to change that. But I think it should go on record that there is an ambiguity in this definition for a relative, particularly the word affinity. What is affinity? It's ambiguous. Mr. Speaker, you can have an affinity to many, even in this House. Between you and me, we have some affinity because we are senators. So if I commit a crime, you will be arrested, Mr. Speaker, because of me. I think this word will be used for political persecution. Because, for example, we are in political parties. We are put in that political party through some affinity. So if I commit a crime, or my party leader or my deputy party leader or my SG, they will come for me. So, Mr. Speaker, we must clearly indicate that as legislators, we have a problem with this word affinity. And I know at this point we can't do much about it because we need 2/3 of members of this House to override that. But it must go on record that this House was uncomfortable with the definition of the word relative. And Mr. Speaker, this foreign legislation, which are forced on us, is what is creating problems in this country. Even now, we are talking about Gen Zs and all that, too much freedom. It's because we adopted a constitution that this country was not ready for. And that's why we're having problems. This piece of legislation, Mr. Speaker, is going to cause problems in this country because it is going to be used for political persecution, is going to be used to intimidate people. Today I will be in government, tomorrow I'm not in government. They will come for me, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to register my disapproval of the definition of the word relative. And it should go on record that on this particular day, this House, members of this House were in agreement that this definition is vague and something has to be done. Even if the bill is passed, we must amend it to make it, remove that ambiguity, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I don't support that definition.
Senator Esther Okinyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also wish to join my colleagues to express displeasure, especially in the definitions, lack of clear definitions, especially for family, relative, and affinity. Because, Mr. Speaker, in as much as we want to curb loopholes in the public sector, if you do not clearly state whom you're targeting here, we might end up exposing even people who are very innocent, so long as they associate with us to this proposal, Chair. So I feel as a Senate, we need to keenly look at this, either by providing an alternative way of defining who is family to you, who is a relative, and affinity, who are these who are close to you that we want to target, Chair. So if we don't clearly define those three, we might actually expose very innocent people to some of the issues we are trying to curb, Chair. Thank you.
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I want to join my colleagues on this matter of definition of affinity and the general definition of a relative and family, Honorable Speaker, Chair. The definition of family here, the spouse, dependent child or parent of a public officer, a dependent child of the spouse or a public officer, or a parent of the spouse of a public officer. Relative means a person who is related to a public officer by birth, marriage, adoption, or affinity. Chair, even relationship by birth should even be made very clear. Because in the African context of relationship by birth, my cousin brother, whose father is brother to my father, in the African context, is defined as being people related on one bloodline. Chair, I really don't understand what this bill wants to address. Just as Senator Cherargei said, we have so many relatives who we are even related by blood, but we don't know what they do for their everyday living. Is this bill telling us then that we as public officers should declare all our relatives, and the government should meet their daily subsistence needs, because as soon as this bill passes, or this memorandum passes, it means those people might end up stopping what they have been doing for their daily livelihood, and they will be then dependent on the public officer. Is the government ready to provide subsistence? This thing of affinity, Chair, should actually be deleted. And we should even give a new definition. It should actually stop at an adopted, where we have adoption. This affinity is so wide that it will be open to abuse, Chair. And because some of these institutions, we cannot say they are immune to being politically weaponized, we should make our definitions very accurate. I have a problem also on the undeclared assets means and any asset that is not disclosed in the prescribed manner. Chair, if I've declared an asset and probably in the sentences I've missed one or two letters or missed this, if you go down in that bill, it means that this asset should be forfeited. I think the law should be providing an opportunity for further details, for further inquiry. But for you to just say that because you missed, probably maybe you missed, you are declaring your land and you have said block 13/1671 instead of stroke 1617, then you forfeit that asset because you have not declared it in a prescribed manner. Chair, that will be a problem. We cannot and we should not allow this house to be used by financial institutions that want to make it difficult for Kenyans to do business, that wants to make it difficult for the economy of this country to grow so that we continue borrowing from them by passing legislations and amendments such as this, Chair. So I wanted to go on record on that, that we need as a house to look at that definition and leave the word affinity, and even the undeclared assets, what means any asset that is not disclosed, Chair, that should be dropped completely. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Senators, yes, I see that there is a lot of interest in making comments on this clause. I'm afraid that we might, because after 5 senators have spoken, it will just be repetition. Can we go to the next clause and then we give you an opportunity? Are you going to repeat anything that has already been said? Senator Ojenda?
Chair, I know, and yes, I know that some of these amendments are extraneously driven, and the intention as expressed by Senator Mandago is we'll have the result of stifling business, stifling development, and I want senators to open their eyes. The public officers in question, Chair, are not senators or members of parliament. Contemplate a public officer as a chief or a primary school teacher with many relatives in the village. And that public officer, Chair, is supplying maize to a school or to a government office in the village. Now, Chair, most Africans do not even know who their relatives are. because we have extended relatives. So that definition is problematic because at times we cannot even define who our relatives are. And then lastly, I just want to, this is with a perspective, agree with Mandago on the undisclosed assets or named assets, either by error, perhaps negligence, or out of lack of valuation, you will lose an asset. Yeah, this is a serious thing. Senator Soti's concern is about the threshold, but we have a problem here, Chair. The only way to make sure this does not pass is by denying ML quorum and walking out. Then now this will not pass.
Senator Professor Ojienda, I was really looking forward to your ingenious submission, which I actually missed. Senator Abbas, I hope you are not going to repeat what has already been said.
No, I'm not going to say that. Honorable Speaker, I think by nature nobody commits offense as proxy on behalf of somebody else, unless it's something somebody higher or these things. But in terms of, this, we have all our adults, and they carry their own crosses. So whatever your brother who don't even know where he is, maybe he could be in another world of the world, you could be somewhere else, it commits, then you cannot take the responsibility for it, or your relative. So I oppose the amendment.
Senator Navindu.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. And because I don't want to repeat what others have said, I'll just comment on that. And Chair, I wish, ML, can I borrow the ears of the Chair, please? Chair, I will not repeat what others have said, but this amendment, the way it is, it will cause a lot of problems to many others. And I'll read a scripture in the Bible. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18 and verse 20, highlights that the mistakes of a father will never be condemned to a child. So this is not right. Because if anyone does wrong, they should carry their own cross, but not any relative, not any child, not any affiliation, as in the definition of affinity. This is quite wrong. It's not biblical, and it is not good for anyone. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mohamed Faki.
Mwenyekiti, mimi pia natoa kauli yangu kupinga kipengee hichi kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Mwenyekiti, nilinde na kamishna hapa
na kusikiza
ambaye ni senior counsel na Ojienda pia ni senior counsel. Mheshimiwa Spika anasema kwa kipengee hichi ni kinyume na hata maadili ya Kiafrika. Kwa sababu Kiafrika tunaishi kama jamii moja. Kwa hivyo kwa mfano mimi ni senator, lakini mtoto wangu ameajiriwa na ofisi ya ODPP. Kwa hivyo yeye inawezekana kutokea shida katika ofisi yake, nilaumiwe mimi ambaye ni senator, ambaye niko kivyangu na ninafanya kazi zangu tofauti na yeye. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hii sheria yapinga maadili ya Kiafrika na vile vile ni kinyume na katiba, kwa sababu huwezi kumnyonga mtu au kumnyang'anya mali yake bila ya kumpa nafasi ya kujieleza kisheria. Kwa hivyo twapinga kipengee hichi na tuomba kiondolewe mara moja katika hiyo memorandum ambayo rais ameleta kuhusiana na hiyo sheria ya maadili. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Thank you, senators. We shall proceed. I put the question that the President's recommendation on clause 5 be approved, division at the end. Next.
President's recommendation on clause 6.
I propose the question that the President's recommendation on clause 6 be approved. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chairman. In the course of the committee's consideration of the recommendation or reservations under clause 6, the committee indeed observed and agreed with the proposals that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission be given the sole mandate to implement this particular act once it's passed, and the further recommendation that the committee made is in concurrence is that the reservations on this particular clause will need the strengthening of the technical and budgetary capacity and allocation to EACC in order for it to be facilitated to administer and effectively implement the provisions of this particular act. That is the impact of the committee's recommendation on the reservations under clause 6. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Cherage, will you be commenting on every clause? Okay, then let us also recognize that we are not debating, so you need to be brief. Please keep your comments in less than 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairperson, you know you are not also immune if this comes to law. It will disrupt our daily lives. Speaker, institute proceedings for forfeiture or undeclared or unexplained. Mr. Speaker, this recommendation is very unfortunate. Because, Mr. Speaker, we are aware, either by error or design or default, either by KRA or EACC, when they are doing inventory of your assets, they can leave it unexplained, Mr. Speaker. We are aware of cases where the authority, Mr. Speaker, I wish the two senators, Mr. Speaker, they are blocking you, yet the standing orders is very clear that there should be no one between you and the Speaker. The table office, what is happening? Senior counsel, he just chatted in. He should go and relax and recover from jet lag. So, Speaker, he should institute proceedings from forfeiture of unexplained or unexplained, and is the former chair of EACC, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you should be listening. You should be listening, senior counsel. You know you can be old, but you don't have a brain. Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying, institute proceedings, Mr. Speaker, for forfeiture and unexplained assets. Therefore, the question should be, if it is left out, Mr. Speaker, if it is left out, either by design, these unexplained assets, Mr. Speaker, you might lose your property, Mr. Speaker. So I think this amendment, I go with the proposal by the Committee of JLAC on this particular amendment to this memorandum by His Excellency the President. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mugeni.
Speaker, the only comment I wanted to make is let's deal with this clause very carefully. I've had the benefit of looking at all the anti-corruption agencies in Africa, including the most successful ones in Rwanda, the one in Botswana, the one in Ghana. You never mix declaration of assets with an anti-corruption commission. There is nowhere in Africa where that role is domiciled in an anti-corruption commission. So as we look at this amendment, we need to also proceed with caution, because we, as lawyers, we know that you don't mix functions of an investigative agency, okay, with a body that is receiving reports to look at any criminal aspect in it. So we need to pass a bill that can pass the test of the time. And we are not an island. We have many examples to learn from all over Africa, you know. In fact, if you go to Tanzania, the declarations are received by the public service. That's the regime that has been prevailing even in this country. It didn't come from nowhere. It's because we borrowed from what is happening in other jurisdictions. You go to South Africa, the same thing. So we need to be very careful that we pass a law that is aligned with the constitutional provisions, Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Enoch Wambua.
Chair, my problem with that clause as proposed is that, Chair, we have the Unclaimed Financial Assets Act. And I was thinking that maybe the best thing would have been to enhance that act to extend to assets, so that you don't pile a lot of work to the ESCC, which is already doing the investigations, and then they go and do forfeitures and dealing with unclaimed and uncleared assets. Why can't we do an amendment to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Act and give that role to institutions under that act? Mr. Speaker, I oppose that proposal.
I put the question that the President's recommendation clause 6 be approved, division at the end. Next.
President's recommendation on clause 8.
I propose the question that the President's recommendation clause 8 be approved. Chairperson.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. This is a proposal as regards the conflict of interest of a public officer and the situation or circumstances under which a public officer would be deemed to be having a conflict of interest existing. And in the observations of the committee, it's noted that the amendment or reservation as was proposed is to expand the conflict of interest to entail real conflict of interest, perceived and or potential. And the committee did indeed propose that we progress as it has been placed in the order paper. Chairman, thank you very much.
I put the question that the President's recommendation clause 8 be approved, division at the end. Next.
President's recommendation on clause 12.
I propose the question that the President's recommendation clause 12 be approved. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The effect of the reservations under clause 12 is to introduce an aspect in the text to the clause where the term good faith is introduced. And Mr. Chairman, I propose that we progress as per the order paper.
I put the question that the President's recommendation clause 12 be approved, division at the end. Next.
President's recommendation on clause 16.
I propose the question that the President's recommendation clause 16 be approved. Chairperson.
Mr. Chairman, the effect of the reservations under clause 16 from the presidential memorandum is to ensure that public officers are prohibited against receiving gifts or favors from persons who are working within the offices. And Mr. Chairman, I propose that we proceed with it as per the order paper. Thank you.
Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Chairperson, I don't know why the majority leader wants to disrupt the House. Mr. Chairperson, and I'm happy my learned senior counsel Okongo Mugeni is here. The import of clause number 16, Mr. Speaker, we have just said we don't know who our relatives are. This amendment is being done by World Bank and other foreign entities that do not understand the African culture. Mr. Speaker, where you come from, I know a number of your cousins, Mr. Speaker. And there are 1,001s, although in our culture you don't say the definite number, Mr. Speaker. This issue of bringing Wazungu type, you know, Wazungu get only 2 children, or they are there and only 1 dog. You know, Mr. Speaker, we need to be fair. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the writer of some book, I'm forgetting, and I only have 1 teacher, which I recognize as senior counsel, Professor Tomo Gienda, Mr. Speaker, that the definition, the importation of the law was even a proposal to Africanize. Mr. Speaker, this law that has been brought here does not recognize the culture and our way of life. Number two, Mr. Speaker, you don't know your cousins. The last time you met them has been ages and ages. Others do not live. Then it says, where a public officer has a knowledge that your relative or a family member has received. So every evening, Mr. Speaker, you'll be going and asking your spouse, did you receive a gift today? Did you receive a favor? Will you be calling your relatives, like Professor Tom Agenda, will you be calling your relatives in Migori? Mr. Speaker, in Kitui, in Nyamira? Mr. Speaker, this amendment is made in bad faith, and it negates anything about our African culture, and even religion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we oppose it with all our body organs because this thing is not fair, Mr. Speaker. It is not fair. Mr. Speaker, if we want to do things, even we are not saying corruption should not be fought, but we should fight corruption. Why should you deny my relatives to live their life simply because I'm a state officer? If I have a child, which I don't, for record, who is above 18 years, they are paying taxes, Mr. Speaker. Why do you want to stifle? I don't know whether Senator Sikei children have reached the age of 18 years, but I doubt. Mr. Speaker, they are paying taxes. Why would you want to stifle their lives or to align their life to be with the life of the state officer, Mr. Speaker? Even the president's children, even the vice president, even the senators, even the governor's spouses and children and relatives, they have a right to live in this country and do their business, including your children, Mr. Speaker. So this thing is undermining not only the African culture, but even the religion and our way of life. Mr. Speaker, I totally oppose it.
Senator Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker, this is another amendment that is very annoying. And I think this house is the house that is going to help Kenyans. Because if you look at Article 115 of the Constitution, where the referral was based, it talks about 2/3. We can easily raise 2/3 here. The other house will have difficulties raising the 2/3. But us, we can raise 2/3 and reject even these referrals that have been made by the president. Because, in fact, the referrals contain amendments which are even worse than the initial amendments that were there, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge the House that before we even vote for this, can we get our 2/3 members here? We can get 2/3 in this House, Mr. Speaker, so that we reject these referrals and even, if possible, delete all the clauses from this bill, Mr. Speaker.
Senators, please stick to your reservations on the amendment. Let us not deviate and start debating. I already reminded senators that we are not debating, and be brief. Senator Mogeni.
I think this is a very good clause. If I understand it well, it is saying we should not peddle influence. For example, Cherage may not have children, but there are leaders in this country of children. What this clause is saying, we don't want anybody to send gifts to the children of the president, deputy president, senator, or member of National Assembly. So we want discipline, yes. We don't want them to receive gifts because they come to Harambes and say, I was given a gift to bring to an Harambe. We want to bring that to a stop. So this one, let it stay. If you are a child of the president, deputy president, governor, senator, you should not CEO, you should not receive any gift. So even I'm saying this so that even the children of the president take note that the Senate is passing a bill that will prevent them from receiving gifts from anybody else on behalf or using the influence of the father or the mother. So this one I'm okay with it, but we start from the top. We start from the doorstep of the president, then come to the doorstep of the deputy president, then go to the governor, go to the senator, go to the women rep, go to the member of National Assembly, then we go to CEOs, everybody. So once this law is passed, Mr. Speaker, let us all be now equal. no receiving gifts. I support.
Senator Wambua.
Well, Speaker, you know, we should also not pass laws in vain. And this is one instance where we are trying to pass a piece of legislation clearly just in vain. Because, Mr. Speaker, the definition of a relative and a family member in the African context, it's so wide that, I mean, unless you have nothing else to do, that when you wake up every day, the only thing you have to do is to find out from all your relatives who has received a gift, who has not received a... surely there are some things that, you know, I mean, and we even make the determination that I have knowledge of receipt of those gifts. The Speaker, Chairman, this is one recommendation that I am actually almost, and I don't want to cast aspersions on my colleagues in the jailer, to imagine that this thing can pass the way it is. Surely, I mean, Chairman, this must be dead on arrival. Even if you wanted to, you cannot enforce it. How do you enforce this? How do you even do it? How do you do it? So this one, this one cannot.
Senator Mandago.
Yes, Chair. On the issue of gifts, Chair, where our problem is where it says you should have knowledge if your relative receives a gift. For heaven's sake, I have relatives from all the way from Tanzania to Laikipia to West Pokot, and there is even a rumor that I have some relatives in Turkana. How will I tell that they have received a gift and what value? Whereas I would be inclined to agree with what Senator Omogeni is saying, but then let's amend the Unclaimed Assets Act so that we can put that there, because to me it makes sense, but not in this bill.
Senator Kavindu, what is your point of order?
Order 1. There is no quorum, Mr. Speaker. We have no quorum.
Let us confirm. Very well, Senators. We do not seem to have a quorum. We shall ring the bell for 10 minutes. Sergeant at Arms, 10 minutes.
Well, again, the House has faced a quorum hitch during the proceedings. This is a point of order that has been raised by the Honorable Senator for Machakos, Honorable Agnes Kavindu. The House was considering the President's recommendations on the Conflict of Interest Bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly, Bill number 12 of 2023. This is a business that was being considered at the Committee of the Whole. However, during that particular session or proceedings, the Honorable Senator for Machakos, Agnes Kavindu, indicated to the chair that the House does not have the requisite quorum that is needed during the proceedings of the Senate. And on clarification from the clerk, it was determined that indeed the House has lacked a quorum. The House, as you can see now, actually all the members, or rather a big number of members, have even walked out of the chambers. But we understand the business that was on the floor was the consideration of the President's recommendations on the Conflict of Interest Bill 2023. Some amendments that were moved, or some proposals that have been moved in the particular bill. Remember, these are recommendations that were forwarded to the Senate, or rather Parliament. For the Senate, the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs went through the amendments as proposed, or the proposals from the President. And this afternoon, the committee was leading the members of the Senate in taking into consideration some of the proposals. There are a number of issues that the senators have taken concern with. Some of the clauses that have been moved as recommendations into the particular bill. One of the concerns that the members of the Senate have raised was with regards to the definition of a relative. One that they pointed out, the word affinity. That means a closeness to an individual. And their concern was with regards to whether that person has to be related to the individual or the public officer by blood, or just friendship, or just by association, which is what that affinity word means. And they had taken an issue with that particular word, indicating that there is need for a clear definition of the word relative to ensure that it does not alter its meaning regarding blood relations or friendship that is not blood related. And the members were indicating that that particular clause, or that particular recommendation, must be dropped, indicating that it is unfair and might as well undermine the freedom of association by the different public officers as they go about their duties. Some of the other concerns that the members have raised this afternoon regarding the recommendations, clause that was clause number 5, clause number 6, regarding undeclared assets, that they say that the EACC, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, does not necessarily have or need to have the sole mandate to implement the act, indicating that there is already existing law, and that is the Unclaimed Financial Assets Act. They were indicating that that act can be enhanced to be able to take into consideration that particular mandate and ensure that the House does not bombard the EACC with various mandates that can be undertaken by other bodies, including the unclaimed assets that can be undertaken by the unclaimed financial assets body. The members also took an issue with clause 16. This is a clause that has indicated or is proposing that public officers, or that seeks to ensure that public officers are prohibited from receiving gifts or favors given by persons perhaps working within the offices that they are in. And these are some of the concerns that the senators have so far raised. Remember, this is a bill that was published on the 3rd of April 2023. Thereafter, it was considered and passed by the National Assembly with amendments on 30th November 2023. And it was referred to the Senate pursuant to Article 110 of the Constitution and was passed by the Senate again with amendments on 4th of June 2024. Taken back to the National Assembly, considered and rejected the Senate amendments to the bill on 24th of July 2024. And consequently, pursuant to Articles 112 and 113 of the Constitution, a mediation committee was appointed to consider and develop a version, or rather a mediated version of the bill that may be passed by both houses. And the mediated version of the bill was approved by the National Assembly on 5th of December 2024, and by the Senate again on the 8th of April 2025, following which it was transmitted to the President for assent. And by a memorandum dated 28th April 2025, His Excellency the President referred the bill back to Parliament with reservations, recommending the reconsideration of a number of clauses, and that is what the House has been doing this afternoon. Just to point out on the clauses that the President recommended for reconsideration include Clause 2, Clause 5, Clause 6, Clause 8, Clause 12, 16, 17, 18, 20, 30, 31, and 35 of the bill. And these recommendations were initially considered by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the Senate. And this afternoon, the committee has been leading the House at the Committee of the Whole in considering these recommendations. But what we have seen so far, before the interruption on the point of order indicating that the House lacks a quorum during its proceedings, the House was considering clause number 16, the one that the proposal indicates that or seeks to ensure that public officers are prohibited from receiving gifts or favors given by persons known to them or working within the offices or the public service offices. And this is the point that the Senator for Machakos rose on a point of order to indicate that the House has lacked quorum. Well, let's listen in.
Chairperson. Chairperson, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole on the Conflict of Interest Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2023, has lacked quorum to proceed with the business.
Leader of Majority, the quorum bell rang for a period of 10 minutes. Unfortunately, we were unable to raise the quorum, and the chairperson, the 10 minutes had since lapsed, and the chairperson has reported. Order, Senate Majority Leader. Senator Cherargei, Majority Leader.
Standing order.
Take your seats. Senate Majority Leader, take your seat, Senator Aaron Tirion. Senator Professor Ojenda. Honorable Senators, having failed to attain quorum at the expiry of 10 minutes in the committee, the Senate stands adjourned pursuant to Standing Order 41-2B until tomorrow, Thursday, 10th July 2025 at 2:30 p.m.
The Loop Squad is always there, with features like Loop Discover for deals, Loop Goals and Invest for savings, quick loans and overdrafts, plus Loop Flex for buying now and paying later, and so much more, all in one place. It's not an app. It's a lifestyle. Get your own Loop Squad today and simplify your life. Why wait? Loop it.
Doing the same old things. But comfort, my friends, is the enemy of progress. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're slowly decaying. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to create? Don't just answer with generalities. Don't just say, I want to be happy, or I want to be successful. Get specific. Picture the details in your mind. If it's a new career you're after, what does it look like? What industry? What kind of people are you working with? If it's a better relationship, what qualities do you want to foster? And what kind of person do you want to be within that relationship? Now, here's a critical element. To start a new life, you've got to be willing to leave the old one behind. Sounds simple, but it's not easy. Why? Because you've got attachments, and those attachments have shaped you. They've created your habits, your reactions, your beliefs. Some people think they want change, but they're still clinging to the old because it's familiar. Familiarity has power. You've got to get honest with yourself